Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. We are on episode 423, I believe. We have finished a page in the Joanna Basford weekly coloring calendar. I have some homework to finish it up for the monthly review. It is 5/1, but I'm not going to film for a day or two, so I will get that mostly finished anyway. So we're going to do something totally different as I still work out the final details for the Kirby page with the sea turtle. So I'm going to go backwards in time and do a little bit of coloring with Copic markers. In the Forest Mandalas coloring book, I did a flip through of this not long ago. I have an image I'll post of my Copic collection. It is my second set. It is not complete. I don't know that I will ever complete it. Looks like we are a little bright. The sun keeps threatening to come out. We had some sprinkles earlier today. All right, I'm back. I had to get my base balanced. And we are ready to go. I looked up what a hedgehog coloring is. There's two different colors. I'm staring at like pretty white tummy with kind of a mottled white to gray face, white forehead, and then very dark on his top line with these little white hairs. That is not the color I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the tan version. This is on, just looking up on Google. The Wikipedia one shows a tan colored hedgehog. So that's what I'm going to go with. I do have a set of pencils picked out that are still on my round 8 rotation that will be perfect to go over the top with. I have never used pencils with Copic. Pretty much I color with Copic or I color with pencils. Copic and other alcohol markers that I own are used pretty much these days exclusively for card making and small images, so this will be interesting to go back to a big image. This is the color palette we're working with the Derwent Drawing 24. It's an earth tone set, and it has a very nice white that I hope will work, and I'm going to color this 2 times. I'll color one hedgehog with you. We'll see where we're at for time. On my traditional paper, which is Nanna Super Smooth Cover Copy Solar White 80 pound. I do also have 110 pound, but it won't go through my printer. So I've used this 80 pound to run through the printer, and that's what I have done, is printed the page off, and then I have a second printing of the page. For you, it won't look that different. It might, the tone might look different between the papers. Then I have my Bristol Vellum 67 pound. This is on the smooth side. If I have time, I will base on that and will give you my input. So the color range that I have picked, I've picked 3 color ranges. This isn't even the full set, but I'm going to focus on, and of course now I have a cough. I will be right back. I am back. I had to go get my water. Okay, so on this color sheet, which is 358 total colors, I have pulled E42 to E47, and then I will show you the color. It's only 3 sets of colors. I went with this aqua teal for the flower. There's one flower to deal with. And then for the greens, I went with the YG green 63 and 67. Actually 61, 63, and 67. And what those look like on a small scrap of the Nanna is this. Those are my 3 color combos I will be using today. And I'm going to color just one of these hedgehogs, starting with the lightest color, but I will be E42 on his face, and then I will be going in to put in the texture of hair afterward, and his belly is going to be the same as well. I think this is the first time I've colored with Copics being filmed ever. I am probably going to do a sky treatment. I say that because I just went over the line here, so I've always used a particular technique, just a way of doing a nice background. When you put your first layer down on this paper, you sometimes get the streaking going, so you can go back through. This is the part of alcohol markers that is the balance. I'm going up into the top area, even though I'm going to go over it with dark, and then we will go over it with Chinese white. I'm using light pressure. So he has some textures. He's got some little darker and a little bit lighter, all being done with E42. If I can get that to focus. I don't know if I can get it to focus on that. I've never even tried. E42. Now I'm going to flip to E43. Let's see how much darker E43 is. Oh, it's a little bit darker. I'm doing dots now. I see some little shadow lines. I mean, I could go on every single one of these dots, but... So there's kind of what he looks like. Getting pretty dark now. With the 42 on the top, we'll do the whole top. These, if you are curious, are 8 years old. Some of them were purchased used, so some might be in their teens now. I started out replenishing my inventory with a very small set of combos, blended combos that were my favorites, and then I bought a couple of used lots that I shared with other family members who collect these. I'm now switching. That's the E43. This is now onto E44 clay. We're getting kind of dark, and I will have these codes up on my blog. But this is the main color. Now she has, the artist has got the shading on the top. I'm going to be doing more of the shading with the pencils. So this is just a little bit of shading. Very quick. I love the wood block style of art. I feel like I'm concentrating. Doing something new to me. For me. Though I have used these for years. But not filming. Alright. What's his nose? His nose is dark. This is E47. Dark brown. I don't even know if that's focused. I can't see. That's cute. So I will be using the browns from the Derwent drawing pencils to help darken the shadows. And then of course the Chinese white, which is funny because the hedgehog looks very much like a porcupine, but it says hedgehog. I wonder if they are related. So the way these work, every layer you put on them, even if I were to go in, if I wanted to blend out this dark to light, which I don't think I will do, but if I did do that, it would darken the whole image. Every layer of alcohol marker you put over the top does darken the color. Which then brings up a really important point. I know I've been on the whole light fast wagon, talking about light fastness, and I'm going back to E44. Talking about light fastness with the woomers, and in fact, I'm going to my mom's today, and I will be pulling my woomer light fast chart off her window. Again, we both live, she lives right down the street from me, but she has full sun in her living room and her screen room. And my only full sun is the front door. So this is a much better impact of what the Florida sun is going to do to my pencils. And I've already done quite a few brands. There's some old light fast test results videos from a couple years back, and I will tell you that markers, pretty much all markers, fade even worse than pencils. Even these professional Copic markers are very much not light fast. So I just want to throw that out there as a disclaimer. Alright, so there he is looking all cute. I'm going to switch to the greens now. My three greens are YG, which is yellow-green, and there's the blends. It is the lightest is YG61, YG63 is the middle one, and 67 is the darkest. And I will be doing my little quadrant. Yeah, all of her shadow marks are on the tips. I don't know if that means I should do the opposite of what I would do, which is make these shadowy ends that nestle underneath the other layers. That's what I would make dark. So I get to do half of this today. So I'm going to color just every one of these mandalas in this book is a quadrant, 4-part. There's 4 critters with this cute technique of the kind of wood cut looking with the lines for the shadows and shading. Okay, so another thing I'm doing all of this in this light color. However, it is wet, and when it's wet, it's easier if you want to do a blend. So I'm going to take this leaf, and I'm going to put the other two in my hand like I do. So I hold them in my hand like this. I can hold up to about 5. And the thick gray line on a Copic is the brush nib. The other end has no line, so that's how I know how to quickly put them in order. And I'm going to take the lid off of the middle tone now. I still have the lightest part is wet. I will apply pretty quickly. The middle tone. I will go back to my lightest tone. Oh golly, you guys can't even see this. Ah, I am so bad. I will be doing this on the other leaf for you. So now I'm softening, and I'm trying not to do another layer in the middle where there are no lines, because I want it to be the lightest, and if I add any more of this lightest color, it will darken it. So hopefully you can see how quickly it was to get a shade going. And this is the darkest color. And everything's wet. I do wet on wet. Some people might like to do the dry, but then you get more of a layered look than a blended look. I'm going now back to the middle tone. Nope, that's the wrong one. The middle tone and the light tone lids look very similar. So that's the middle. And now I have to go to the lightest. So for me, markers were pretty tough on my hands. You can hear the snapping of the lids on and off and on and off and on and off. I've never left the lids off. So there is a fully colored leaf, and since you were not able to see the very start of that, let's go here. And now I see, okay, it's now no longer sunny, so I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, I might have to adjust that back down. Okay, re-wetting, but not in the middle where there are no lines. So this is the lightest color, YG61. Getting that all wet, leaving the non-lined area the lightest. I am now going to the middle color, which is YG63. I think you can almost see that. There it is. I'm going to then, before it dries, I need to get back in here and soften the line connecting the two. You do a little bit of the back and forth with the pencils. It just doesn't feel as obvious or as much work. All right, now we're going to go ahead and do I do not know why I have a cough. The dark. You can, with the brush nib, you can do as really thin lines with it, or go harder. It's kind of soft and flexible. I'm going to do the middle color again. And then back to the light. The color will also alter as it dries. It will lighten up a little bit. All right. Again, this is not my colored pencil paper. A little bit, I can see a little bit of the lightest green went over the line there. I see a couple places where we went over the line. All right, so there's one leaf. There's our hedgehog. There's the other leaf. And now let's work on, we've got dry leaves here. I'm going to wet them very quickly because the artist put the ends dark. I'm just going to see what it looks like. I'm going to go with what she has said to do in her prompt. I will do middle to dark. It is art anyway, so it's my interpretation of something. It's the middle tone. This is the lightest tone. I'm just kind of blending out the connection point there, softening it. The edges of this will be quite small. We will work on this, I think, 2 days. Should finish it up. I'm back to the middle. Yep, 63. Oop. Let me finish. I forgot to do those 3. Back to the dark again. And let's grab the lightest. I'm going for a smooth blend versus the liney looking blend. And then the very middle here should be looking lightest. And it does. It's very different, but I like it. Since I already have the light, I am going to re-wet. I'm not going to re-wet all this area that I don't want to have it get any darker. You can already see my overlay over the lined. When you add the second layer of the lightest color, it gets it darker. So you could own, I think in this case, with these 3 tones, I would be okay with owning the light and the dark and not the middle. Pencils, I think, is a little less forgiving, and you need that middle. In a lot of cases, you need the middle, but you can work the alcohol pretty well with these. And it does somewhat depend on how dark the dark is. That's just this particular set that I picked out. I am not familiar with what inexpensive or budget alcohol markers are like. The only other alcohol markers I've used, I think I just did the middle, and this is the dark. Yep. I have some lines here that I'm risking not being able to blend out if they dry, but it's a small enough area, I think it'll be okay. Now I'm going to walk backward. I'm going to the middle tone 63, and then I'm going to get right back to the lightest color 61 and get it all to smooth out. So yeah, I don't have any experience with budget markers. I only use a few Hobby Lobby Master's Touch, I believe. I have Stampin' Up's alcohol markers. They're called blends. And then I have Copic's, and I bought some re-inkers or refills for these, and I have never needed them. The ones that I typically do need are the blues for backgrounds because of the big spaces. So there you have it. That is done. We started this leaf, and I will be re-wetting it. I might get in closer on that one. Oh, and look at that. The sun. Hub has been napping right in midday. There we go. Okay, so that looks good. Grabbing my 3 greens, starting with the 61. going with the leaving right here, total opposite of what I would do. I'm going to focus on re-wetting where the shadows are. I don't have any hint on this leaf, but I'm going to keep the tip dark and leave the what would be the shadow light just for fun. If you're wondering, this is the smallest the nib is, and I do have a small selection of regular square Copics. There's what their end looks like compared to the sketch, and the brush nib of the sketch. I never use the chisel. The chisel is what that end is what you use to do the refill. The refill is alcohol ink. Then we have the, this would be the brush nib, or the bullet nib. They came with bullet. And that's the chisel. And I have bought fine point nibs. So I have, I don't know, 40 or 50 of the fine point nibs. And I don't necessarily own both styles of markers. I just might have the fine tip nib, and I make do with the fine tip nib for the few colors that I have, the 40 or so. It might not even be 40. It might be more like 25. Okay, so, and that 25, so years ago was when 2017, we had lost our trailer in an accident when we first started travel. It was not a very good first year of travel for us when that happened. But they recovered. My fine tip nibs were in their own case, separate, not in my big box. I used to have these in a giant iris box that Hub went to the hardware store and bought the fluorescent light little compartmented lighting things, cut them up, and I had all of them in one case, and now they live, I have the picture, they're in two soft cases that inside there are 4 60 set cases, and then I see a 24, and they're the Copic black cases. I've had those forever. In fact, they were brought out of storage because I had the cases, and I'm talking too much, just so you know. I need to stop talking and get to coloring. If you worry that you might have some drying, you can actually dab here and try to soften it, and sometimes that will work. I do a lot of dabbing. I do this with the brush work you've already seen with the alcohol. I mean watercolor. All right, so that one's done. And let's work on these leaves. Trying to think how I want to work on them. The best angle for me is, I have a thing in the way. I'm going to move it. I'm going to move that and all right, that should be good. Okay, let's see if we can get some depth and dimension on this. Lightest color, YG61. My biggest thing to remind myself is not to color too much before going to the next color, so it stays wet. Oh, and Hub is up. I did not expect him up. I'm gonna probably pause here and get him situated, and I might go have coffee with my mom now. We'll get just this one section done because it's a pen and we don't want it to dry. So these color numbers now remind me of the Starjoy Golds that are also numbered with color family as part of the number. And I gotta come back through with the lightest color. Soften this all up. So you really end up with like a 4-part blend, because the lightest color on there also has a second layer of itself. That gets everything to blend nicely. So that's where I'm going to stop for now. And I will come back and we will finish this leaf up. For you, I will only be gone for a second. All right, hub is settled. And I'm going to get this finished since we're so close. Next section will be YG61, lightest color. So these remind me of the mica pencils that have such a lovely, soft, pleasant feeling, that if that's what you cared most about, these would be a really good candidate for somebody that just wanted to color something that felt nice, especially if you liked larger images and you just wanted to have a nice feeling experience. It was the feel more than the finished product, which these still, I think these look cute. There's nothing wrong with how these look. I'm going to do softening of the light right now. These would be a great, maybe the inexpensive pencil or alcohol markers even, but you have to be careful because I know some of the nibs don't feel so nice. Part of the niceness of these is their nib. You can exchange the nibs of these. You can fill so the body of them is like a permanent body unless you wear it out. You can replace the nibs and the caps. I hear rumor, or the later versions of these. Mine are old enough, I don't think they are the newest production runs, which are, they had changed manufacturers, and I guess the caps don't always seal. I don't think these are those, but as I get into using them again a little bit more, I might find that is not the case. All right, lightest color. Softening that transition so it's not quite so stark. All right, last chunk, starting with the light, which I finished with. My parents have 2 of my pieces of art colored from coloring books. Steampunk images. I should try to get pictures today. I might have pictures. I might try to post those. That was the middle. This is the darkest. I'm gonna go back to the middle again. Okay, now the lightest. What do you guys think? Does this look weird to you, having the shadows be on the ends? It's like another planet, and the planet works different than here. They have hedgehogs, but their shadows and lighting works the inverse of ours. It still is very interesting looking. Okay. We have a flower. Now I want to get over. So the flower is right here. I've got 3. Oh, I should probably grab a yellow. I'm just going to grab a yellow. I am grabbing a Y13. All right, my 3 blend colors, kind of aqua colors, are those, and they are BG11. Oh, and I was just going to use, I have BG13 and BG15, but they are very close. So close. I was going to do the thing I told you that on the browns, or the greens, I didn't think that I needed the middle color, so I'm going to leave the BG13 aside. And the blend that you saw was just done with these 2 that I'm using now. Okay, so my blending color, the dark, is BG15, skipping BG13. Going back to the lightest. I'm going to leave the non-lined area the lightest tones. All right, so that's one segment finished. I'm going to see if I can quickly go back up here. That is what it looks like. I'm going to do the other 3 as homework, and then we will come back with the pencils. We're at 36 minutes. I am okay with just stopping at the natural stopping point for the day, because I know trying to do the pencil work will take too long, because it's a bit of an experimentation. So I will be back here either tomorrow or the next day for us to play with the palette. So here is the entire color palette. I see this dark chocolate 6600 for some darks. We will be using Chinese white 7200 for shadows, for highlights. The other thing too that I want to do that clearly took too long, so before we even do pencils, I still have the pencil paper version. Now this is the paper I am familiar with doing alcohol markers on, and so I am curious what my experience is going to be coloring on the Bristol Vellum. So I'm going to decide whether I'm going to go right to pencils, because that's right now my inclination is I want to see what it looks like with all the highlights and the shadows done with pencils. So I'll probably do that first, and then we will pop right back, maybe a 3rd episode where I do a quick coloring with the alcohol markers and let you know how they feel on this Bristol Vellum paper that I use for coloring with pencils. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone, and welcome back if you are returning. I hope that this was fun and interesting for you. It certainly was an experience for me. A little nerve-wracking. I think it came out okay. And the alcohol markers did their job. And these markers that sit, they've sat in my house hardly used for, 3 years now? And they came out of the gate running just like you saw. Perfect. None of them failed at all. They have been a very reliable art medium for me. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing, and hit that bell, as I'm now on a little bit of a different schedule this year, this season 2 of the Daily Color. And I hope to see you all at the next one. Take care.